You say potato.
I say freedom, freedom, oh, freedom.
See, that is not the answer I expected, but that is perfectly aligned with today's topic here on Aren't You Crazy? Creative freedom. What does creative freedom mean to you?
To be or not to be creatively free. That is the question.
That is the question.
To present myself authentically, God, it's harder than what I expected. What is creative freedom for you?
The first thing that came to mind actually had to do with the balancing act, the compromise that we might find as artists, as professional artists, where we want to be, quote unquote, creatively free, where we have no oversight. We have total control of all the creative decisions that get made and churning out our final product, versus the commercial success that we might desire. And by commercial, I mean, you know, monetarily compensated well. But the trade-off typically when we achieve that commercial success is it inevitably involves other people who are probably going to have oversight or at least some kind of say and input into your creative work, and having to no longer be 100% free of those kinds of limitations or alterations to our creative ideas.
It gets a little tricky, right? Because perhaps you're still being free, super free creatively, and yet you have to be involved with a collaboration where other ideas merge, and you might have not envisioned it precisely that way, but you still have to walk around and compromise certain things of what you thought was your free idea, but it's still free. You know what I mean?
Unless you are a purely solo artist in whatever you're practicing. You don't just create your own art, but you market it yourself, you sell it yourself, you do everything yourself. You're gonna need somebody else's involvement to help push your project forward and achieve the goals that you have for it. And so at some point you have to let go of some of the control and decision making in certain areas in order to take in and receive other people's help.
Absolutely. And I see what you're saying, and I wonder if I can challenge that and say, wouldn't it be already creatively free because it's been made with your freedom, with your concept, and with your idea that is connected to your creative freedom? And then it's been put out there with the help of someone or an input, but it's still free because you birthed it in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just asking questions. Like I don't have a side that I land on. These are just the questions that I wrestle with too. And becoming at peace with the notion that I still have the freedom of choice to choose who I partner with, to choose whose input I take or whose I discard or whose I cherry pick, keep the things that advance the project and leave the things that I think would truly be to the project's detriment. But yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I've been pondering this because I recently applied for a directing lab, and one of the questions
sorry, I had to do that side note because it takes so much courage and hard work to apply for things. So
thank you. But one of the essay questions in the application was, what does collaboration mean to you? And in thinking about how I would answer that in only 200 words, my goodness, it really challenged me to think very deeply about the collaborative process and how I came to realize how vital it is. That even if the original spark of an idea is mine, if I am not open enough and confident enough in the strength of the idea to allow it to be changed by the healthy contributions of my artistic partners, it will probably not grow into as full of a vision as I had for it. If I hold too tightly to having an outcome be one specific way, then I'm probably missing out on opportunities to see just how amazing and gorgeous the finished product could be.
Yeah. It's a question that I ask myself. Like if I have a project of mine that I have very clearly in my mind how it looks like and how it should come to life, but then I get a very interesting offer to buy that project somehow. With me still, like, I can put the clauses I want of like how do I get involved in the project and etc. But what it would mean for it to be put out there in the public eye, would this be the platform and the bridge I needed to get the financial freedom, or the exposure that I needed to start producing the things where I don't want to compromise anything?
Yeah. If the spark of our creative idea is a seed, and we water the seed, we make the soil conditions right, we give it the right amount of sunlight and shade and soil drainage, etc., then the seed will grow into a tree. And we know it's an apple tree. It's an apple tree seed. We want apples. If we, in our mind's eye, have such an intent focus on those apples being red, and we're not able to allow, when the tree fruits, to accept that those apples are green and reject it, then we've rejected the gift of receiving the apple, of seeing the apple, ripen and be shared among others and nourish everyone.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes I see that there's I see it in myself, like this paralysis of like, I don't want to change anything about my project. And then that might get the project to never be seen or made or finished, I'm beginning to open myself up to the possibility of changing things in my own creative freedom, just for the sake of getting somewhere with them. I don't want to stay all the time in the shadows of being so protective of how I conceived things that I never get anywhere. And anywhere, I mean, I do want to reach for the mainstream. I do want to reach for an audience, for maybe touring, for maybe traveling, for talking about the projects with a broader audience. So I'm like looking forward for that to open doors to collaborate with people from other parts of the world, and to say, okay, well, my green apples now have green with white dots and purple stripes, because I got the opportunity to connect with another person from Madagascar, and then another person from Iceland, and from another person of India. And then it became something different, something
You've cross-pollinated.
Exactly.
You've cross-pollinated your apples.
I love Erin's example with nature. They're so good. It's like, now that the cross-pollination has happened between the projects. It's like David Attenborough.
Exactly. You have a unique apple, a unique fruit that the world has never seen.
One that you should never eat, because it might be.
It's probably poisonous. I mean, it's no doubt, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, like those mushrooms that are red with dots that you're like, maybe your cross-pollination, it's very beautiful, but don't eat it.
Right. Well, and too, like, using the same metaphor, I think I'm not speaking about like giving up so much freedom and input on your idea that your apple becomes an orange or a grape or a kiwi. Correct. We're talking about enhancing your product versus holding on to your ego and your hubris so tightly that you can't allow positive, beneficial changes to enter your thinking, your mindset.
Creative freedom is to respect what your creative urges and desires tell you, with the possibility of enhancing it with other minds and with other people and processes that might even put it in a more visible or higher spectrum. It's just not stop being creative.
I think it's such a broad, open-ended question. What does creative freedom mean to you?
Bum, 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 bum. Dinosaur. Yeah, holding on to ideas so
tightly
breaks the creative freedom.
Yeah,
I feel.
Beautiful thoughts.
Stay crazy. Great conversation, Erin.
Thanks.
Stay crazy out there, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.